All right, some more breaking news for the Philadelphia Eagles. According to Mary Kay Cabot, Cleveland Browns insider, Philadelphia is signing defensive back Greedy Williams in free agency, a 2019 second-round pick out of LSU. We'll talk about that. Also, the contractual details for Darius Slay made official earlier tonight. Before we get started, this is why you subscribe to the show. If you've missed our free agency coverage, you're missing out. When Eagles breaking news happens, we talk about it. It's Philadelphia Eagles now. I'm Chase Sr. All right, let's talk about the player here. So, Greedy Williams, 2019 second-round pick out of LSU, comes to the Birds with a little bit of pedigree and I think some untapped potential. 39 games in his career, 21 starts by season. Those games played 12, 16, 11. Back half of the season here in 2022, he was a healthy scratch because he wasn't playing well, fell out of favor for this coaching staff. Keep in mind, though, that the Browns are always dysfunctional. They were kind of dysfunctional to end the year. That defense in particular was a disaster under defensive coordinator Joe Woods, who was fired, and that defense really didn't live up to expectations. He was pretty solid, Greedy Williams, back in 2021 when he played 16 games. He did have 10 pass breakups. That's a pretty good number. Pretty solid size at 6'2", 185 pounds. He's probably looking at this as a situation to go to the Eagles, defending NFC champions, to revive his career, and the Eagles are signing him as a depth piece in the secondary to bolster that depth and take a chance on a player with a little bit of upside, and if they're able to tap into that potential and bring it to life, bring it to fruition, they'll sign him on a short-term contract for little money. It'll benefit them. And then for Greedy Williams, he's able to capitalize financially a little bit later by taking a financial sacrifice right now. I imagine the market wasn't too vast for him, but I also imagine they might have had some better offers out there than the Philadelphia Eagles. For him, you go from a pretty rocky environment with the Cleveland Browns to functional Philadelphia. So from dysfunction to functional. And you hope that you can get right here with the good defensive line that pressures the quarterback, Hassan Reddick, Brandon Graham, Josh Sweat. You bring back Fletcher Cox. You have Jordan Davis, Milton Williams. Maybe you draft a Jalen Carter type. And that then makes your job easier in the secondary. To have maybe a season like he did 2 years ago with 10 pass breakups, pick up a couple of passes, play alongside Darius Slay, James Bradberry, and Greedy Williams, where you're not going up against number ones. You're not going up against number twos. And him, Avonte Maddox, some slot ability here for Philadelphia. Good scheme fit. He's probably looking at it as such. And then he can just cash in later because he's only 25 years old. Not sure what the contract details are. When we know them, though, we'll certainly let you know. Pro Football Focus grades by year for Greedy: 49.6 as a rookie, 68.8 during his sophomore campaign, and 53.6 this past year. Again, a healthy scratch on the back half of the year. I think with Greedy Williams, size, pedigree, length, speed, there's a better player in there. And it's up to this defense, this coaching staff now, to really bring the best out of him. And you're not going to have Denard Wilson, which is a loss in this case because he moved on, former defensive backs coach who everybody loved. But you do have some really, really good veterans with a lot of accolades in Darius Slay as well as James Bradberry to learn from. So I like the signing as a short-term risk type of deal. It adds depth. And if you end up hitting on this and he ends up playing like the player who a lot of people really like coming out of LSU back in 2019, which is what made him a second-round pick, it'll benefit this defense in a financially responsible way. So with that, do you like the signing of Greedy Williams? A, B, C, D, or F? Let me know down in the comment section and give me a real one while we're at it because I appreciate all of you. As for the Darius Slay contract, this deal made official earlier tonight. By the way, I can't wait to get done this show to start watching the NCAA tournament because today wasn't able to watch many games because I was working all day, doing shows, covering the NFL free agency period. But of course, love chopping it up here on Eagles Now. Wouldn't have it any other way. For Slay, 2-year deal, is the report, $42 million with $23 million in guaranteed money. Adam Schefter said and framed it as an extension that goes through 2025. So while Ian Rappaport has called it a 2-year deal, if Schefter is right and it's an extension, he's under contract 2023, 2024, 2025, and that money divided up by 3 is actually $14 million per year for Darius Slay. James Bradberry is making $12.5 million, and I think that's a pretty good deal if Darius Slay does age well and does play well. Now, a lot of people did say that Slay got carved up to end the year. Did he struggle a little bit? Yeah, maybe he struggled a little bit. Was that partially because of scheme or him? Because with Jonathan Gannon's defense, we saw when they went up against good offenses, I don't care who was on the field. Even with this pass rush that had 70 sacks in the regular season, they were still getting carved up. I think that Slay's a player who is aging well. Look, in week 3 against Justin Jefferson, he was fantastic. Still has really good ability. $14 million for a top-tier corner. Isn't that bad if Schefter is right that it's an extension and not just a 2-year deal? And the Eagles in the process here, by redoing Slay's contract, they saved $10 million in 2023. Please give me CJ Gardner Johnson. It was going to be a $17.1 million base salary this year, so that goes down, and it was going to be a $26.1 million cap hit with what Slay's contract originally was when we all thought that he was going to get released, and then he got brought back to Philadelphia. So that's the latest on the Eagles front. If more breaking news happens, I'm going to hop back on set here from the crib, hung some pictures up, Yingling, AI, Ryan Howard, Chase Utley, 08, World Series champs. We got Veterans Stadium back there as well. Had to spice it up for free agency because the backdrop, it was way too bland before. All right, appreciate all of you for tuning in. Enjoy the NCAA tournament. Greedy Williams to the Eagles, second-round pick out of LSU in 2019 to bolster the depth for this defensive secondary, and the latest contractual details for Darius Slay as he is back. As for CJ Gardner Johnson, real quick, he tweeted out earlier, something about not being able to, saying the disrespect is real or whatever. Look, this is what I was saying to one of my coworkers before I hop on out of here. He's like, what's going to happen with Isaac Seumalo? What's going to happen with CJ Gardner Johnson? And I'm like, look, these are coveted players on the market, right? The money hasn't dried up that quickly. So if these are coveted players who do have interest out there, I would imagine at least, because they're really, really good. If teams don't have interest in Isaac Seumalo with all the bad offensive line play I see, and they don't want a 25-year-old CJ Gardner Johnson, they're crazy, and that's Howie Roseman's whim. But if they do have offers out there, yet haven't taken them as premier players, when we've seen so many players go off the board, does that tell you that Howie Roseman is like, Isaac, Chauncey, we're trying to get something done, maybe a Lane Johnson restructure, let's free up some money. We got James Bradberry, who's not going to be making top 15 corner money. We bring back Darius Slay for $14 million. That saves us 10. Hold on. We got something for you, cooking in the kitchen. And if that's the case, the Eagles go from a team that you had concerns about on the second day of free agency to maybe having a B- C grade to a team that might have an A grade. They're going to miss Javon Hargrave. They'll miss TJ Edwards. They'll miss Kaiser White. They'll miss Marcus Epps. But if you bring Slay, Bradberry, Chauncey Gardner Johnson, Greedy Williams as a depth piece with Devontae Maddox, you still have a good pass rush, and maybe the defense is called a little bit better by Sean Desai, we could be cooking with something. All right, now I'm actually out of here. Peace.